Alrighty, so I'm gonna try to sneak in a review as we got about 20 minutes before the beginning of the final game of this match day between Seattle and Sporting KC, and I've already made the board at least looking at the first four games of this part one of the review, looking at 8 games. So I'm gonna do the review of all of these games, and then after the game between Seattle and Sporting KC to conclude the match week known as match week number 30, I'll finish the review by looking at the last four games as part one of me looking at the first 8 games of this match week. But with that being said, let us begin talking about the first game, which is the Philadelphia Union versus the Chicago Fire. And it's safe to say that, yeah, the Union probably have heard those doubters a couple of weeks ago, and rightfully so, because, this Union team have not been playing relatively well, but they definitely say their best stuff in this one against a Fire team that, oh boy, as we know, September is coming, and if there is one thing that unfortunately Chicago fans know about September is that that's usually the time when the Chicago Fire start to collapse late in the season. Now, in the first half, Baribo would miss wide after a WTF turnover from the Fire there before Diamante heads it wide from close range. Baribo then missed wide from long range. The Union, they definitely made business early in this one. They shot out of the cannon and now was already pressing hard early for the lead. Wagner would then hits one right to Brady before the first shot for the Fire. See Rake tipped over a Bamba shot. Sullivan would then miss wide from long range. The shots was 7-2 for the Union. Like it was pretty much a domination for the Union early in this one, and to no one's surprise, they take the lead in the 34th minute as Baribo would score from Sullivan to make it 1-0 in favor of the Union. You knew that was coming. I mean, the pressure finally paid off for the Union. Ilowski then looked for another, but he hits it right to Brady before Zakanago with a rarefied chance, but he missed wide in the 45th minute. Very quiet game for Philip Zakanago. Probably the worst game that he had played for the Fire in this one, as the Union pretty much shut him down throughout this game. Now, we head to halftime with the Union leading 1-0 in the second half. Brady would deny Ilowski from long range, and then the post on the other end denied Orhel from long range. Rake then pushed away a dangerous chance for Zakanago. Much better from the Chicago Fire, I thought, coming out of the second half as they now look to try to get the equalizer, though Brady on the other end had to make another save, this time denying Ilowski from long range. But then the 64th minute, the Union make it 2-0 as Kyle Wagner would score from Ilowski to make it 2-0 in favor of the Union. It was a little training ground routine where it looked like Ilowski was going to strike that one, but he pretty much played it right to Wagner with a short pass, and then Wagner basically strikes that one beyond the wall there. I'm kind of surprised not many teams have tried that. I'm kind of surprised not many teams try to maybe play it short to someone and then basically set up a shot that goes away from the wall, because that could be a good strategy to do if you trying to hit a shot away from the wall, which is just pass it to your teammate, get them some a better angle, and next thing you know, that's a chance to score the goal. So that made it 2-0, and little do we know that's when the buzzsaw of the Philadelphia Union returns. This is the team that we've seen in the past. Once they score 2 or 3 goals, 4 or 5 is not going to be that long after. And in the 76th minute, they would make it 3-0, as Jean Jacques would make it 3-0 in this one. And then 10 minutes later, Ilowski would score. I think this is his first for the Union, if I'm not mistaken. I lost track of how many goals Milan Ilowski has scored, especially with San Diego FC, but I believe this is the first that he's scored with the Union, and he deserved it too. He was immense in this one, and he made it 4-0 for the Union in this one. On the other end, Rakewood denied Acosta, but it falls to Barlow, whose shot was deflected and goes wide. But yeah, in the end, very comfortable win for the Philadelphia Union. They're now back at the top of the Supporter Shield standings, and it feels like right now, at least in the last couple of weeks, things have kind of gone interesting, at least in the East, where we talk about the West. There's some inconsistency when it comes to teams in the standings. It feels like it started to become the same thing with the East as well, where some of these top hitters in the Eastern Conference, they have had their struggles and haven't really been able to be hot lately, and as a result, a lot of these teams just kind of bunch up with each other, and it's been kind of almost a back and forth kind of competition this year with the supporter share, at least and the top spot in the East, where there's been times Cincinnati had it, there's been times where Philly has it as well, and it's going to be interesting to see who, of course, will get that by the end of the season. Don't be surprised the team in pink might be taking advantage of that as the season goes along. But yeah, the shots in this one, 23 shots with a 9 that the Fire has, 2 shots on goal for the 7 that the Union has, 2 shots off target for the 8 that the Union has. Free shots on blocked for the 7 that the Union has, and possession-wise, 51% possession compared to 49% possession the Chicago Fire has in this game. And if you're the Fire, yeah, you better hope you forget this game and this is just an outlier because yeah, like I said, as the calendar comes to September, this is when not only it's crunch time for a lot of these teams battling to playoffs, and the Fire are just right on the cusp of being either in or out of the playoffs. But this is when the collapse usually begins. This is when, as the calendar begins in September, at least in the last couple of years, the Fire would go on an incredibly long losing run, and they would basically be out of the playoff picture by the time we reach the end of September. Speaking of a team that is started to kind of drop down and getting very concerned when it comes to where they are in the playoff standing, is Austin. So it's safe to say that yeah, Los Verdes, I think they're getting a little nervous right now because these last three games, they found themselves a couple of weeks in a pretty comfortable spot, and now all of a sudden, with this winless run that they got, and especially after in this game against a lowly Montreal side, and they don't not only they didn't get a point out of this game, but they get nothing out of this one. Oh, there's a lot of concern for Nico Esteves' team right now, and I don't blame Austin fans are freaking out right now that things are starting to fall apart for this team again, just like what we saw in between this season. Now in the first half, Escobar would hit it right to Stuver as that was the game's first shot before Owusu would hit it right to Stuver. Owusu would then miss wide from close in the 7 minute of this game, as I thought Montreal started as strong as this one. They were pressing to get the early lead, and they do. As in the 9th minute, Shutchuk would score from Escobar to make it 1-0 in favor of Montreal. I say that's the first career MLS goal. That might be wrong, though. I think he has scored before, but nevertheless, what a goal that was from Suncheck, and just like that, Montreal has a 1-0 lead. He then looked for another, but he missed wide from long range in the 60th minute before Longstaff trying to score his first for Montreal, but he hits it right to Stuvera. But yeah, it was all Montreal early in this one. Where in the world is Austin in this game? I mean, in a game where this is supposed to be almost kind of like a must-win game because you're facing against one of the weakest team in the league, and one of the worst team in the Eastern Conference, and you put this kind of effort, it's no wonder why Austin fans are absolutely fuming after this game. It does get a little bit better though for Austin perspective. The first shot for Austin did see Gillier denied Uzuni from close before hindsight when heads it said wide from close range, as Austin finally woke up and realized that yeah, their playoff hope is dwindling with them playing this badly, and now they were looking to try to get the equalizer. Bakari would then hits it right to Gillia, and I think that's also kind of maybe them thinking that yeah, this is Montreal that they're facing. This is not like a world beater that they're facing right now. And in the 40th minute, they do get the equalizer as Uzuni would score from Rubio to tie the game up at one apiece. I mean, Uzuni still hasn't really scored the at a rate that clearly deserved the DP money that he has. This is the thing that I think could be the difference for Austin for the rest of the season. They need to get Uzuni going. Like he is the guy that he's supposed to be now the main man now that Vasquez is out, that he's supposed to be the guy that chip in the goal, and right now he's definitely done a little bit better recently, but still not nowhere near the amount that they of course pay him, and the expectation that they place him in the beginning of the season. Wolf would then hits one right to Gilia, but the momentum was with Austin up to this point. They were now pushing to try to get another, but then in the 3rd minute stoppage time, a low against the run of play, Montreal retake the lead as Dante Sealy would score from Brigade and Owusu to make it 2-1 in favor of Montreal. That was probably the best attacking sequence that Montreal has had that led to a goal. I mean, that was just so beautifully worked from Montreal. Kind of a little bit Wilfred Nancy ball esque kind of that play. I mean, I know Montreal fans don't want to have a reminder of that, but still, I mean, that was just so well worked there, and as I said, probably the best attacking sequence that led to a goal for Montreal all season long. And just like that, they retake the lead 2-1, and that would be the scoreline heading into the second half. Now, in the second half, Stuver would deny Owusu on a free header. Yeah, that is one that Owusu will want to have back, but there was no doubt that Montreal picked up where they left off. They were pressing for the third goal. Uzuni would struck the outside of the post in the 51st minute before Owusu would miss wide from close. But then a penalty was given to Montreal as Dessler handballed this one in the box. Yeah, he knew it. He didn't even complain there. So here comes Owusu, a chance to bury it from the spot, and he does. So it's 3-1 in favor of Montreal. Owusu tried to make it 4-1, but he was denied by Stuver. But in the 78th minute, Austin does get one back, as Owen Wolf would score from Uzuni to make it 3-2 in favor of Montreal, and that also came off of a great transitional play from Austin as well. We know they're a team that is very good this season on the transition, and they've shown it again in this one. And really, as the time winds down, you just kind of had a sense, if you're a Montreal fan, you've seen this story before, where they're trying to hang on and it doesn't work out well for them. Well, Uzuni in the 5th minute starts time trying to make it free, but he hits it right to Gilia on the free kick. But in the end, Montreal, they get a rare win at home. I believe this is only the second time they won this season at home at Stade Saputo. Again, this has been a very bad season for this Montreal team, though I'm assuming it is going to get a little bit better, especially with the signings that they made. The fact that it feels like the rebuild is definitely in full force right now, and this will definitely help the case of the rebuild in terms of getting a big win in this one. But the shots in this one, 13 shots for the 11 that Austin has, 7 shots on goal for the 6 that Austin had. Both team had 3 shots off target, 2 shots that was blocked for the none that Austin has, and possession-wise, 53% possession compared to 47% possession that Montreal has in this game. And like I said, for Austin, there has to be a lot of concern. Now, the good news is they do play against the San Jose Earthquakes in the next game, which is pretty much a playoff 6-pointer in that one. And also, a little newsflash, I'm going to that game in Austin. Yes, you heard it first. I'm actually going to go down to Q2 once again. I missed my opportunity to do so when they play against LAFC because of that Texas storm, but I really want to go to that stadium. So yeah, I decided to choose this one. Not only a chance to go back to Q2 Stadium, experience the atmosphere, but now, yeah, this is gonna be my first away day with the Quakes in quite some while. And who would have thought that it would be a massive playoff 6-pointer? In fact, I believe Austin and the Quakes play each other twice still left in the season. They play each other on decision day as well. That could be a decider in terms of who, of course, make the playoffs or not, because right now, like I said, Austin, they are playing themselves out of the playoffs with the way that they have been playing the last both games, getting two game at home where they drop valuable points and now lose to one of the worst team in the league on the road. There's got to be a lot of concern right now for Los Verdes, and there's probably not going to be a lot of confidence coming into that massive playoff 6-pointer against the San Jose Earthquakes next weekend. Now, moving on in terms of the next match is DC and Inter Miami. So coming into this game, we knew that Inter Miami was punting this game away. And to be fair, they did try late to maybe get themselves a win, as we usually see Miami does. But credit DC, they able to hold on this one. They actually have themselves a chance to win this game as well, but it ends in a 1-1 draw. But the first shot of the game did see Herrera heads it wide from close range before Bartlett heads it wide from close in the 12th minute. I thought it was a promising start for this DC side, and they were rewarded in the 13th minute as Jackson Hopkins scored again. He's been scoring a lot of goals lately, as he scored here from Pautelo to make it 1-0 in favor of DC. And as I said, that's been coming. DC has definitely started the better side. Miami just didn't clear their lines completely and pay the price as a result. Kojima then looked for another, but he was denied by Rios Novos. Like I said, it's been all DC up to this point. This makeshift Miami team, they definitely have not woke up in this game, and in many ways, DC is taking a full advantage of it. Kojima would then hits it right to Rios Novos. We go for a period where not much really happened. But we do head to halftime with DC leading 1-0. In the second half, Sailor would hits it wide from close before he also hits it wide from close in the 49th minute. Miami definitely start the second half a little bit better, and as a result, this is when Montreal realized that, yeah, we're going to go for it. They decided to bring in the cavalry as both DePaul, Busquets, and Rodriguez is summoned into this game. Luis Suarez will also be summoned in this game later, but no Messi in this one. And again, part of that maybe due to the fact that he's still coming back from that injury that he suffered a couple of weeks ago. Kamaski then had a shot that was deflected and goes wide before Rodriguez would clip the post from long range in the 56th minute. Barraza would then deny Alande from close. There was no doubt that Miami, with that injection of the high end talent that they had, now they were looking like the Miami that we know. They were pressing hard to get the equalizer, and in the 64th minute, to get it. And Rodriguez would score from DePaul to make it 1-1 in this one, and it was an absolute banger and a half from Rodriguez there to tie the game up for Inter Miami. Muro did look to respond, but the post denied him in the 72nd minute before Barraza denied Suarez on the doorstep of goal. I mean, with the way that Suarez has started to find ways to score goals, yeah, you would say that Suarez probably should have done better in terms of that chances. So that being said, on the other end, it looked like Muro gave the lead back to DC. The problem was there was an offside flag that neglect that. So yeah, very unfortunate in DC perspective as this game remained tied 1-1. But you just kind of sense it's up for grabs. I mean, both of these teams were looking to try to get the winner. The post would deny Frey in the 7 minute of stoppage time. It wouldn't have mattered because the flag came up. That goal would have been disallowed for offside. But in the end, it ends in a 1-1 draw on this one. Shots in this one, 11 shots for the 14 that Miami has. 3 shots on goal for the 2 that DC had. 1 shot off target for the 3 that Miami has. 4 shots that was blocked for the 6 that Miami has. And possession-wise, 65% possession compared to 35% possession that DC has in this game. And it's safe to say that I think this has been one of the best games that DC have played this season. Yes, I know they're facing against a pretty much a B team that Inter Miami has, but the fact that they hold their ground in this game and get a draw in this one, just a little bit of positive of what has just been an absolute disastrous season, and also a team that unfortunately has a very grim future ahead of it, as we'll talk about in the moving forward series about them. But hey, at least they also kept themselves out of elimination. By the way, both DC and Montreal, I think those two teams were up for elimination. Both of them are still alive, but we'll see whether or not if they'll be alive heading into the next weekends as well. Because as I said, it's getting to the part where not only it's crunch time for a lot of these teams playing for playoffs and playing for seeding and even the supporter shield race, but this is also a time when teams are starting to getting eliminated and are officially in that see you next season mode, which means it's about time to do the moving forward series and do the recap for some of these teams that are pretty much eliminated from the playoffs. Now, moving on in terms of the next match is a game I definitely did not see this coming. So this is a game where, again, if you're Columbus, this has been a problem this season where I've seen this happen a lot for them, especially at home this year, where it feels like this is another game. It's a reminder that they absolutely they need a number 9. And the good news is they of course got it with Abu Ali, but the question is we'll see how much he can just get himself into that sharpness and also take a look take a huge load of the pressure that this attack has because these are kind of the game and we've seen this a lot with Columbus is another game remind that they desperately miss Cucho Hernandez in this one because if they had Cucho Hernandez in this one this would have been an easy win for the Columbus crew but because they don't have that and Abdul Ali just made his debut in this one and they hope that again he can get going straight away. They come off on the losing end in this one against New England. Now, early on in the first half, Herrera would miss wide from close as that was the game's first shot before Harpoon would have a shot that was deflected wide. Miller would then flash it wide from long range as that was the first shot for New England before Ganago would put it wide from close in the 12th minute as it was a lively start to this game. Both of these teams were definitely exchanged some chances. There was a lot of chances in this game as well. Aliu would then puts it just wide from the chip here for Turner denying Gastek from close in the 18th minute. Columbus was starting to push for the opening goal. However, in the 25th minute, Campana would score. So he scored here from Nagoni and Heel to make it 1-0 in favor of New England. By the way, I just realized I completely spelled Campana name wrong. So let me just fix that. It's not Campa, it's Campana. Very nice. Yep. But yeah, Rossi did look to respond, but he hits it wide on the free kick before Chambos would blast one to the supporter section. Arston would then hits it wide from close in the 33rd minute. I thought it was a good response for the crew, but the problem is the finishing wasn't there, even though they were pressing for the opener, and because of that, in the 39th minute, New England would score against the run of play. As gotta go would score from Fafana to make it 2-0 in favor of New England. This came of just a simple long ball as well. Yeah, that was not great defending from the Columbus crew. And that is another thing that I think is kind of flying under the radar. And I haven't quite mentioned the fact that as much as I know we highlight the issue that they have on the attack and how much they miss the quality that Cucho brought to this team, their defense have not been great at times this season. There's been times where their defense has been cut open, and that's kind of the thing that we always see with Wilfred Nazi side and the downside of Wilfred Nazi team as well. They're a team that love to go on the attack and especially love to press to have the ball and play that very entertaining brand of soccer that it could be exposed at times when it comes to transitional moment and also simple long ball as well. And this time New England did a good job to kind of play completely over the press that Columbus had. And next thing you know, Ganago found himself some open space and he did not miss his chance there to make it 2-0 in favor of New England. Schulte would then deny Langoni as and a third for the Revs. The momentum was definitely with New England. Columbus, they look like they were shell shocked. Like they been playing pretty well up to this point, but they found themselves two nothing down. And could have been worse because in the fourth minute stoppage time, Schulte had to deny him flying goal from close before Ceballos would head it right to Schulte from the corner. New England didn't want this half to end. Like they want to keep going and eventually get that third goal. The good news for Columbus, they do survive that, and they head to halftime down 2-0 in this one. In the second half, Gastag would miss just wide from close range before Rossi puts it wide from close. He then hits it right to Turner in the 54th minute. What Fernandes said at halftime, it definitely worked. Yeah, Nancy probably had some choice words with his team, and yeah, Columbus were back pressing to try to get themselves one back. The Revs, though, I will say that they did a good job, at least eventually ride out the pressure. Columbus was putting unrelentless pressure early on to trying to get one back, and I thought New England did a good job at least surviving that and kind of started to make the game boring, which is kind of what you need to do when you're the away team, especially when you're facing against Columbus. Make things tight, make sure they don't run at you and continue to put so much pressure that eventually it's kind of inevitable that Columbus will get that goal back. Heel would then puts one onto the roof of the net from a chip from the halfway line, and this happened because Schulte came off his line and try to slice this one out and just got it completely wrong. That is very uncharacteristic of Patrick Schulte. He's usually very good in those situations, and he's very fortunate that he'll miss that one because that would have been an embarrassing moment for Schulte. One of the rare howler that we see from Patrick Schulte this season. But nevertheless, in the 71st minute, Columbus does get one back, and it's finally happened. Daniel Gastek have finally scored an open play goal for the Columbus Crew. So he scored here from Amundsen to make it 2-1 in favor of New England. Though I will say that he kind of did steal this goal from Abu Ali. To be fair, Abu Ali looked like he was ready to score his debut goal as well. And in many ways, that would have been a great storyline. But I think an even better storyline is finally Daniel Gasek has a chance to score a goal. And I don't blame him maybe stealing that goal away from Abu Ali, considered he needs one badly. Like with the way how he's been struggling this season and him just simply just not allowed to score from open play, just have this curse right now. Yeah, it's got to feel good for him to finally break that curse. And if you're a Columbus fan, you're hoping that this is the first of many that he can score from open play goal. In the 77th minute, Shankalai did look to respond, but he puts it wide before Zawatsky would puts it into the side netting. Columbus was definitely pushing hard to try to get the second goal. New England was just kind of hanging on for dear life up to this point. Artston would then hits it right to Turner before Gastag would hits it to the side netting. Rossi would then puts it just wide from close range. It's just unrelentless pressure that Columbus was putting. But you just kind of had a sense as we get deeper into the game, is this just once again another one of those games where Columbus had a lot of chances, just not able to put the ball in the back of the net because of lack of clinical finishing. Gastag would then puts it wide from close. But yeah, in the end, New England, they hold on to win 2-1 in this one. A rare win for them against a really good opposition. The shots in this one, 23 shots for the 10 that New England has, 6 shots on goal for the 5 that New England has, 10 shots off target for the 3 that New England has, 5 shots on block for the 1 that New England has, and possession-wise, 62% possession compared to 38% possession that New England has in this one. And although this win, I don't think it really make too much difference for New England. I mean, I think they're I know they're still not mathematically eliminated, and they're probably a way before they're mathematically eliminated. But when you look at where they are in the standing, they're just way too far out of making the playoffs. But hey, at least they get to play a little spoiler role here. And as I said, for Columbus, there's got to be some concern because this is now 3 games without a win. This has been a thing that I think also have been kind of flying under the rug, the fact that Columbus this season, as much as there's been times where they have had some good run of form, there's also times where they haven't been in a bad run of form as well. Remember earlier this season, they went 6 games without a win. That really was completely swept under the rug because of the way that they were playing well, but they just aren't able to get the result. It's happening again with this team, and that's got to be concerned if you're a Wilfred Nancy side because it's not about how good you play. At the end of the day, when you get to playoffs, you can play like what Columbus play in this one. If you're not clinical in terms of finishing, especially when you face against some of the better team in the East right now, Columbus might not go very far in the playoffs, and that would be very disappointing. Consider the team that this team has. This should be a team that should regularly compete for MLS Cup, and there could be a case where this could be second year in a row where we might see an early exit for Wilfred Nancy side, and a big part of that is because of the lack of nine, and also the defense definitely hasn't been as good as what we've seen with those good Columbus team that we've seen in the past. But that being said, I am now going to switch boards. Well, actually, I'm gonna now go back to watch the Sporting KC Seattle game. It's actually started 10 minutes now, so I'm missed pretty much the first 10 minutes of the game. I'll probably just kind of do a little quick skim through what happened in the first 10 minutes. Hopefully nothing happened. Hopefully there hasn't been a goal that's been scored. Knock on wood there. But yeah, nevertheless, when that game concluded, I'm going to switch board and look at the last four games to finish off the review of part number one of the review for match week number 30. All right, so the game between Seattle and Sporting KC have just finished. It turns out to be a very entertaining game as well, as we'll talk about more of that tomorrow in part number two. But now let's move on to the next game, which is Cincinnati versus NYCFC. And I gotta say, for NYCFC, they've finally done something that's been eluding them pretty much throughout the entire season, and that is consistency. When you look at the last five games, they have won four out of the last five games, and now have won three straight games in league play, and most importantly, they did a double against FC Cincinnati. I believe NYCFC is the only team so far this season that's been able to do a double against FC Cincinnati. Now, in the first half, Salvatano would deny Wolf as that was the game's first shot before Evander hits one that was actually spilled by Freeze, but Gatter. Evander would then puts it high from long range as the shots were 2-1 early for Cincinnati. Both of these teams were exchanging some chances. Freeze would then deny Evander from long range, but then on the other end, the post would deny Martinez from long range in the 31st minute, and it's been a pretty even start to this game. Both of these teams definitely not afraid in terms of these long range effort, definitely bombing away for these long range effort, but we do head to halftime scoreless between both of these teams. In the second half, Enchiriku would put it wide from close to the 50th minute before Powell would have a one hopper volley to right to Freeze. As I thought Cincinnati definitely started better in the first bit as they were looking to get the opener, but instead it's NYCFC the one that gets the opener. It's Alonso Martinez. He scored for Morales and O'Neill to give NYCFC a 1-0 lead. Also came off with just a lightning counterattack from NYCFC. And to say lightning counterattack, I know it might sound like a cliche for the review, but that was literally a lightning counterattack. I mean, that was like it only took 4 seconds from NYCFC to kind of switch the feel. I mean, I don't think I've seen Cincinnati give up a goal that badly when it comes to getting burnt on the transition. But nevertheless, NYCFC were up 1-0. We then go for a period where not much really happened, which that definitely favors the road team when they have the lead. And NYCFC for the most part they did a good job in terms of nullify this Cincy attack. Notice how in the second half didn't even mention Evander name. He was kind of a non-factor in the second half. Celentano would then deny Fernandez as the flag went up for offside, so that wouldn't have counted even if it goes in. Valenzuela would then hit it right to Freeze before Martinez miss an absolute sitter on the doorstep of goal. So this game feels like a very Alonso Martinez game. We know that he can be a decent goal scorer for this NYCFC side. He's been showing it throughout the season, but we can also see him miss these sitters like that, and you just wonder with all the sitters that he missed and all these big opportunity that he missed. You wonder he would be right up there in terms of the golden boot race and not competing with Sam Surridge and Lionel Messi for that golden boot if he wasn't being so wasteful in terms of some of the chances that he has. Now he is getting better in terms of converting the chances. Early in the season, that was a huge problem for him where he just completely snake bit and can't finish even if NYCFC desperately need him to do so. Speaking of Martinez, he then had a shot that goes right to Salvatano. NYCFC was looking to finish this one, but can they do so? Because remember, when you're the road team and you only have a one goal lead, especially when you face against a very good team like Cincinnati, you got to put this game away because you knew that Cincinnati would have some say late in this one. Well, Valenzuela had a chance on the header from the corner, but Freeze was able to deny him there in the 90th minute. But yeah, that was pretty much it. As in the end, NYCFC, like I said, they did a double against Cincinnati. They're the only team to do so, I believe. And the shots in this one, not a lot of shots. 10 shots compared to 9 that NYCFC had. 5 shots on goal for the 4 that NYCFC had. 1 shot that was off target for the 4 that Cincinnati has. 1 shot that was blocked for the 3 that NYCFC had. and possession-wise, 53% possession compared to 47% possession that Cincinnati has in this one. And NYCFC has started to climb up the table and staying away from the red line. I mean, that's definitely great news if you're an NYCFC fan because again, consistency has been a big problem for this team. Not getting result on the road has also been a big problem, but lately they've not only have shown their consistency, they're getting result on the road. That is something that really alludes to them. A lot of people have talked about how them being a baseball dimension merchant because of the way that they play in a baseball field and they take advantage of it, and that when they do play on a real pitch, you can see how they expose. But hey, they're starting to show that they're not just a baseball field dimension merchant right now. They're actually winning road games and climbing up the standings. But for Cincinnati, yeah, this is problem for this team when it comes to this season at home, where there's just been times this season at home where they lose games that you don't expect them to lose. Like coming into this one, I mean, I know NYCFC has been in good form, but you gotta say with all the firepower that the Cincinnati team has, they should not be losing this game and pretty much laying egg in this one. This is going to be a big concern, I think, for Pat Nolan's side heading into the playoffs, where with them probably finishing near the top two in the standings, or at least in the top part of the standings. And we know that this is a very good road team, but the problem is, if they're going to have home field advantage throughout, I mean, I know it's crazy to say a team could have a disadvantage to have home field advantage throughout, but you got to say that's kind of the case for Cincinnati. I mean, they're more comfortable playing on the road compared to them playing at home, and unfortunately, most of the games that they're going to be in the playoffs, especially how well they finish the season, is going to be at TKO Stadium. That's going to be something that they have to show more consistency. They have had their inconsistency this season at home. Now, moving on in terms of the next match is Nashville and Orlando City. So it's safe to say Nashville definitely took full advantage of playing a weaker Orlando City side. I mean, I get it. Orlando City definitely did rest a lot of their starter. They did kind of bring some late in this one, but it didn't make any difference. I mean, this is a Nashville team that I'm pretty sure they hurt the doubters too. Like Nashville and Philly, they have one thing really in common this week, and that is they definitely heard the doubters about how it feels like they're started to trend the wrong direction, and next thing you know, Nashville put a 5 spot on Orlando City, and that 5 spot all started just 2 minutes into this game as Sam Zurich, a guy that hasn't been in the best of form at least in the last couple of games. People say that maybe he peaked too soon. Well, he's back on the goal scoring chart here from Mukhtar to make it 1-0 in favor of Nashville. Arujo did look to respond, but he missed wide from long range before Enrique puts it high from long range. What is kind of lost in this game is the fact that Orlando actually had their moments in this one. It probably could have been closer if Orlando City would have been a little bit more clinical in this one. Galese would then deny Schaffelberg from close, but then in the 17th minute, Mokhtar gets on the score sheet. He scored here from back to make it 2-0 in favor of Nashville. The post would then deny Surridge of his second goal here, and even with this makeshift team that Orlando City was putting, this has got to be disappointing showing for Orlando, and especially when you have a game like this where you're putting some of your reserve. I would assume that you'd say that these reserve would definitely be really up for it. Consider they're getting their limited opportunity to actually shine, and yeah, it turns out that they really out hit they're flat out put their face down, and now you just kind of wonder. Yeah, I think Oscar Pereira probably will never go with this team again, and there probably are guys on this team that you probably won't put as starters most of the time. But that also kind of maybe me is another factor of the concern that Orlando City have when it comes to the depth that they have. Maybe not at their best. But in the 30th minute, Mukhtar would miss wide from long range before Spicer missed high in the 35th minute. But then in the 40th minute, it would be 3-0 in favor of Nashville. It's Mukhtar. He scored from Schaffelberg to make it 3-0. Not long after, Surridge would score again. He scored from Schaffelberg to make it 4-0 in favor of Nashville. I mean, it was just an absolute rout up to this point. I wouldn't blame any Orlando City fans turn the TV off. I mean, I'm probably pretty sure not a lot of Orlando City fans even was looking forward to this one because they know that this game they're pretty much punting this game, knowing that the real price is the Florida derby in the Leeds Cup on Wednesday night. Willis then denied Enrique from close. The post would then deny Enrique from the corner. And again, this is what I'm talking about, how Lawson in this game is the fact that Orlando had their opportunity. And I also even said that, as bad as Orlando D has, Nashville defense isn't that bad, far off from being not at its best in this game. I mean, they gave up some really dangerous chances for Orlando City in this one, and have Orlando City uh capitalize on these chances, maybe things could be a little bit interesting. But in the 6 minute stoppage time, Smith would miss one on the doorstep with goal, but we do head to halftime with Nashville absolutely thumping Orlando City with a 4-0 lead. In the second half, Galese denied Muro from close before he denied Naha from close range in the 55th minute. Early on, definitely seemed like Nashville was showing no mercy. They were pressing hard to try to get the fifth goal. Spicer would hit the post on the curler in the 57th minute before Atuesa hits it right to Willis. I did say that they were kind of showing no mercy. Nashville. It feels like maybe they started to put their foot off the gas a little bit and allow Orlando some good chances. And eventually, Orlando does get one back as Montreal would score here to make it 4-1 in this one. Willis then denied passage from close range, but then on that same sequence, yeah, this is something that Orlando City just they were hoping that this won't happen, which is when they do decide to punt this game away and make sure they don't lose any of the starters. I mean, the good news is this won't really affect the Leeds Cup. But the last thing you want is heading into the next game after the Leeds Cup, you're gonna lose one of your starter, and that's the case in this one as Luis Muriel get himself sent off here. Just a moment of madness there for Muriel. I mean, just slap Quasim there. Now, did Quasim kind of embellish that? Absolutely. He definitely embellished that. He didn't really need to go down like a sack of potato there on the slap. But hey, I mean, anytime when the opponent put hands to your face, huh? Yeah, there's definitely gonna be a reaction, and yeah, in this case, that is a definition of violent conduct, and Muriel basically was shown his marching order, and a night where this is definitely a night for Oscar Pereira and Orlando fans to forget. Now it just gets even worse with them now down to 10 men, and also not having one of their star striker in coming back from Leagues play after the Leagues Cup. And then in the fourth minute stoppage time, Nashville eventually would get that fifth and restore that 4 goal lead as Palacios would score from Bauer and Mukta to make it 5-1 in this game, as that was the final score of this game. The shots in this one: 15 shots for the 12 that Orlando has, 9 shots on goal for the 4 that Orlando has, 5 shots off target for the 3 that Nashville has, 3 shots that was blocked for the 1 that Orlando has, and possession-wise, 53% possession compared to the 47% possession that Nashville has in this game. Now, I know some people will say, well, this was against a relatively weak Orlando City side. I don't think Nashville would care. I mean, Nashville was in a pretty bad run of form. This is exactly what the doctor ordered to get themselves back to their confident state, and especially some of the big hitter like Mukhtar and Surge back on the score sheet. Once you get them confident again, oh boy, that's bad news for the rest of the Eastern Conference, because I think Nashville could be back to their informed self like they did in the middle of the summer. And for Orlando, they just need to forget about this game. I mean, they knew this was going to be a game that they punt away, and historically they actually have never done well against Nashville, especially playing them on the road. So yeah, that is kind of one opponent that Orlando will hope to avoid in the playoffs. But judging by where they are in the standings, there could be a possibility that they could face each other as early as first round. But Orlando's just gonna need to forget about that. They just need to focus solely on the Florida Derby, and they'll need to definitely be at their 100%, because Miami is going to be very angry about losing the two Florida Derby in league play. And as the old saying goes, it's those beating a team 3 times is almost impossible. You usually just don't see that happen whatsoever. Now, moving on in terms of the next match is the Dynamo and the Quakes. So I'll tell you what, I didn't see this one coming in terms of the way that the Quakes were able to hold on to a lead for once. I mean, I know I said that this is a game that is going to be very important for the Quakes because of the playoff chances that they had. But keep in mind, this team have not been the Houston Dynamo on the road in a very long time. In fact, remember how I said in the preview that they actually beat them once a couple of years ago. That was a lie. I think that was the I was thinking of the one where they won 3-2 when in reality that was not the case. It was them blowing a 2-0 lead, and then eventually the Dynamo won 3-2 in this one. And I thought it was gonna happen again here. I mean, they had a 2-0 lead. I just was waiting for the moment where they completely hit the self-destruction button. I mean, they even give up a goal in the 71st minute, but it didn't happen. For once, they were able to hold on in this game, and just like, well, say about Minnesota tomorrow. I mean, it was kind of comfortable late in this game, surprisingly comfortable because the Dynamo, we know their problem on the attack. They just really didn't generate any pressure late in this game or push enough pushback to really challenge the Quakes to get the massive 3 points in this playoff 6 pointer. Now, in the first half, the first shot of the game did see Judd puts it over from close before Arango puts it high from long range. I thought it was a positive start for the Quakes early. They definitely pushed early for the lead. And again, in a game like this being a playoff 6 pointer, it's very important for this team to really show up, and they definitely showed up at least early on. Urso would then heads it wide, as that was Houston for a shot before Daniel denied McGlynn from close, and then he puts it wide from long range in the 18th minute. The Dynamo definitely got into this game, and this is where I started to be concerned. The fact that, yeah, the early pressure that the Quakes were putting and them not getting that first goal, is that going to come back to haunt them? Espinoza would then puts it wide from long range before Kowalczyk would puts it wide or puts it way high from long range in the 24th minute. I thought this game really started to become wide open. I mean, there were a lot of transitional moments for both of these teams, which I got really nervous because, again, this season, one of the biggest Achilles heel besides them giving up leads a lot this season is that the Quakes suck at defending transitional moment. There are a lot of goals that they conceded this season have come from the transitional moment. But in the 27th minute, Muni would head it wide from the corner, but then 1 minute later, Tito Arango would strike. So he scored from Jones and Muni to make it 1-0 in favor of the Quakes. Urso did look to respond, but he was denied by Danielle. And then the post denied Mark FDK, but it falls to Arango. And because of the fact that this ball was looping in the air for so long, I think this kind of saved Bond here because Bond was able to just readjust himself there to make himself as big as possible. But yeah, for a goal scorer like Chicho Arango, he's got to bury that one. I mean, I know he did get a goal, but that is one that even if Bond made himself as big as possible, he's got to put that away. But instead, he was robbed by Bond there. Ponce in the 3rd minute stoppage line thought he ties the game up, but the goal was disallowed by offside by VAR. I mean, I didn't even need to wait for VAR. When I look on the replay, even the commentator said that of course was clearly offside. Yeah, I knew that goal, of course, wasn't going to stand, but that was a big warning sign for the Quakes because again, one of the thing about the Quakes this season is that they have trouble in terms of not only closing out games, but also give up goals in unnecessary time, and that was definitely an unnecessary time to give up a goal right on the stroke of halftime. But yeah, they got away with it because of the fact that I believe it was it Kowalczyk the one that was in offside position? No, it was Ponce actually the one that was in an offside position. So the game remains at 1-0, and that would be the scoreline heading into the second half. Now in the second half, Espinoza would miss wide from close range before Harks would head to he would head to right to Dan now from the corner in the 50th minute. We then go for a period where not much really happened, which I thought that favorites the Quakes again. Anytime when you don't allow a lot of chances, make things tight when you have to lead, the road team is always going to be the benefit, especially with them leading in this one. Oh, I'm sorry. I meant Carlos was the one that heads it right to Daniel here. Again, I wrote so fast that this is kind of embarrassing, the fact that I couldn't even read my handwriting. Speaking of Antonio Carlos, he would then head one wide from the corner in the 63rd minute. Corner defending was not great for the Quakes in this one, and I seen it in a couple of times where they were very suspect from set pieces, especially trying to deal with Antonio Carlos. I mean, I know Antonio Carlos, he has that aerial threat. We saw it during his time with Orlando City, but when you know that he has that aerial threat, maybe you need to double him up, and they weren't doing a good job in terms of marking him whatsoever. On the other end, Bond would tip Sean over, but then just 1 minute later, really the next sequence, he would score. He scored from Harks and Muni to make it 2-0 in favor of the Quakes. Originally, this goal actually was given to Ian Harks because Ian Harks was the one that this one, but it wasn't until after the game they actually changed the goal to Preston Judd because it looks like Preston Judd did get a slight touch to that, but nevertheless, it was 2-0 in favor of the Quakes. And by the way, that goal or that shot that Harks was hitting, that was goal bound. So in many ways, Preston Judd kind of stole the goal here. I think it's the second time this season Preston Judd might have stole a goal away from his teammate. But nevertheless, it's 2-0 in favor of the Quakes up to this point. Now, normally you think, well, that's all done, right? I mean, a team leading 2-0 on the road, they should get the win, right? Not the San Jose Earthquakes, because when that saw it was 2-0, I didn't even celebrate. I'm thinking, okay, how are they gonna blow this? How are they going to hit the? When are they gonna hit the self destruction button and choke this away? But in the 71st minute, that's when I thought, oh, here comes the self destruction button, because Antonio Carlos would score for McGlynn to make it 2-1 in favor of the Quakes. And remember what I said about how I wasn't confident when the Quakes were defending these set pieces, especially not doing a good job marking Antonio Carlos? There you go. Now, to be fair, I will say that this is one that Daniel would love to have back, and this is one that he'll definitely put his hands up and say he should have saved that, and rightfully so. I mean, I think he was trying to catch this one, and instead he didn't. He wasn't able to do so. He fumbled it, and it goes into the back of net. I'll tell you what, there's been some howler that I've seen from Daniel this season compared to what I've seen in previous season. As good as he is, and I think he is still considered to be right up there in terms of an above average goalkeeper in MLS. You cannot have these kind of moments, especially down the stretch like that. And again, that is one that Daniel should have been saved. But at the same time, again, not great set piece defending whatsoever from the Quakes. And that's also when I thought, oh boy, here we go again. This is when the self destruction button is being pressed. Looks like the Quakes are gonna find a way to choke this lead, right? Didn't happen. In the end, it was the Quakes winning this one 2-1, because like I said, the Dynamo, they really didn't create a lot of chances late in this one. I mean, I know Quakes fans were getting a little nervous, like, okay, when is the shoe is gonna drop? And it really never did, because Houston didn't really do a good job in terms of creating anything. Part of that is because the Quakes for once actually did a good job in terms of closing out the game and pretty much putting a lockdown defensive performance in the last 20 minutes of this game. But yeah, in the end, this is a massive win for the San Jose Earthquakes. And with this win, and with the way that the RSL did lose this weekend as well, they have now finally controlled their own destiny, and that they are actually now further away from the red line. I think they're 4 points out of the red line, and they actually go to eighth place right now in the standings, and they're not that far away of getting seventh place again. So there's a chance where not only the fact that the Quakes could actually make it to the playoffs, but they can avoid that play-in round as well, which would be a huge bonus. I do not want to see that team play in the play-in round whatsoever, even if it's going to be at PayPal Park. That is. The shots in this one, 11 shots for the 10 that the Dynamo has. Both teams had 4 shots on goal, 5 shots off target with the 3 that Houston has, 2 shots I was blocked with the none that the Quakes had, and possession-wise, 53% possession compared to 47% possession the Quakes has in this one. And just like what I said about the Austin game, next week game is another playoff 6-pointer for the Quakes, and I'll be there for that. And yeah, it's gonna be very interesting. I mean, I would assume that the Quakes should be up for that one, especially the motivation for the Quakes, not just the fact that that's another playoff 6-pointer against a Texas team. They don't want some revenge after what happened in the U.S. Open Cup. I've attended that U.S. Open Cup between the Quakes and Austin, and I know for sure they would definitely love to get some revenge after in a game where that was a game where they absolutely should have moved on to the next round. I mean, Austin absolutely stole that game away, and the only way to redeem yourself is you're gonna have to see if you can beat the same opponent, especially in a big playoff 6-pointer, and even triple you're the team that beat you and knocked you out in the U.S. Open Cup, a chance to not even make it to the playoffs this season. Now, moving on, in terms of the next match, one team that is also still in the midst of the playoff race is FC Dallas. Now, obviously, coming into this game, this was always going to be tough for LA or for Dallas to get something out of this game against a really good LAFC side, but they got a point out of this one, though in many ways, LAFC will be kicking themselves that they didn't get all 3 points in this one. And this was another one of those games where, the better team weren't able to get a win because the lack of finishing was a big problem for LAFC. But one thing that was not a lack of finishing is Sung Heung-min scoring his first career MLS goal. And this, by the way, is how you score your first career MLS goal. And not what we'll talk about tomorrow. There was a very controversial first career MLS goal that was also scored by a star player coming from Europe from the penalty spot. But yeah, here Sung absolutely blast this one on the free kick. I didn't know he has that ability as well. I didn't when I watched him at Spurs. I didn't think he scored a lot of free kick goals if I'm not mistaken. But here he scored this absolute beauty of a free kick there, and yeah, that is an emphatic way to introduce yourself to MLS of scoring your first career MLS goal, and just like that, LAFC take a 1-0 lead. That lead would be short-lived because after Delgado looked to respond but hits this one high in the 8th minute. In the 13th minute, Farrington would score. So he scored from Delgado to tie the game up at 1 apiece. It did take a deflection, which is completely flat-footed Lloris. Lloris couldn't do anything about it. But yeah, just like that, the game was tied up at 1 apiece. Little did we know that would be it in terms of the goal scoring. I thought this was going to be a high scoring game up to this point. But in the 25th minute, uh, da- it looked like Dallas got a penalty here, but unfortunately, VAR says that Palencia did get the ball on Farrington. Yes, that was the correct call. You can clearly see that Palencia did get the ball here, and just like that, no penalty, of course, was given in there. We then go for a pair where not much really happened. Son did look to try to get his second of the game, but he hits it right to before Farrington would hits it right to Lloris. Tillman would then puts it wide from close in the 6th minute of stoppage time. Before in the 8th minute of stoppage time, Anderson Julio would puts it wide from close range. Both of these teams definitely were looking to try to get the lead on the extended 12-minute stoppage. And the reason why there was that much of stoppage time, I think Igor Jesus, he was down for a huge amount, and that's definitely a little concerning if you're out LAFC losing him. Maybe for an extensive time. But we do head to halftime with the game tied up at 1 apiece. And then in the second half, it looked like LAFC took the lead for the first time as Ryan Hollinshead puts it into the back net. However, the goal was disallowed because there was a handball in the box committed by an LAFC player. So the goal, of course, was chopped off. Kaladi would then deny Bawanga, who had a free header there. Yeah, that is one that Denis Bawanga wants to have back. I mean, you don't usually see him miss free headers like that. Son would then hit it right to Kaladi in the 70th minute. LAFC was definitely ramping up the pressure and pressing for the lead. Bawanga would then puts it wide from long range before he had a shot that was deflected and actually hits off of a Dallas player and struck the post there. So yeah, you talk about unfortunate. And then he actually got his own rebound, but Kaladi was there to deny him there, and you just kind of had a sense that yeah, it's not LAFC night, is it? And I mean, they're just getting absolutely blue ball in this one. Just cannot show the clinical finishing. Not the first time we've seen that happen with LAFC. In the 8th minute of stoppage time, Martinez had a chance to win it late, but Kaladi says no. He denied him from close in the 8th minute of stoppage time, and in the end, it ends in a 1-1 draw in this one. A very frustrating 1-1 draw for LAFC as well, especially of them trying to rise up in the standings. The shots in this one, 20 shots with 11 that Dallas had, 2 shots on goal for the 6 that LAFC had. Both team had 4 shots off target, 9 shots that was blocked for the 3 that Dallas had, and possession-wise, 59% possession compared to 41% possession that Dallas has in this game. And again, it's not very often I say the home team would be the more happier side coming out of a draw, but this is kind of one of the cases. I think Dallas will take this draw. I mean, with the way that most of the team in the East in the Western Conference playoff race lost, and this is why the win that the Quakes had against Houston. Not only it's a big win for them, and I didn't even mention the fact that this is the first time since 2015 that the Quakes actually got a win against the Houston Dynamo in Houston. But the fact that everybody around the playoff race were able to not get a win, and all them lost except for Dallas, who of course picked up the point. This is a huge bonus for the Quakes to gain ground to stay away from the red line. In the case for Dallas, they at least get themselves a little bit higher in terms of the points total and get themselves set up for this playoff push, because as I said, the West is up for grabs when it comes to the playoff race. I'm gonna probably do a video in the middle of the week talking about the playoff race in the Western Conference as we're down to that stretch run. I'll might even do a video talk about the Supporter Shield race as well, because that race seems like it could go down the wire as well. But yeah, either way, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you do, make sure you like, smash the subscribe button. As always, let me know in the comments below, what do you think of these 4 games and the other 4 games on the other board. Tomorrow we're going to look at the last 7 games of match week number 30, and that include the free Sunday games that we saw today. But either way, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you do, make sure to leave a like, smash the subscribe button, and yeah, I of course will see you guys next time.